Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's stream where I have a guest. And so, how this came into play, I called this Implementing a Data Strategy with Wouter Trappers. And Wouter wrote a article for my Medium publication. I think it was last month. And I like that it was about data lineage and graph databases. And then I saw a podcast with Wouter, and where he was also talking about this and a bit about data strategy. And he is actually a data strategy professional. He does this professionally. So that's why I thought, let's bring him on. Let's have a chat with him. So here he is. Hey, Wouter.
Hey, Andreas.
Welcome.
Yes, great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for that you're here.
Yeah, so my name is Wouter Trappers. I'm the founder and CEO at Xudo, data boutique. My background is in philosophy, actually. I studied philosophy in university, so I have a very broad view on the data landscape. I rolled into it because I found out that my analytical brain that was trained during my studies in philosophy is also very well suited to tackle certain business questions using data and analytics. So I have a very broad view on the data fields. I've been doing this for like 15 years, reporting, starting in Excel and Access. And then once you know the front-end functions in Excel and the SQL for Access, you can combine these in more professional BI tools. My first tool I learned was ClickView. Now went over to ClickSense. So background in business intelligence. I'm doing that 2-3 days a week to pay the bills, and at the same time building Xudo. That's a data strategy consultancy with a couple of fixed price assets to accelerate and facilitate this type of work at the company.
Mm-hmm. So, but with Xudo, you're focusing on this data strategy topic where companies have a lot of problems with, I guess, right?
Yes, you could say that. If there were not problems, there's no work for me. So that's a bit of the consulting business model, right?
Yeah, that's
Helping
true.
people solve their problems.
That's true. So, yeah, I've been. Let me quickly. My camera somehow is out of focus. I don't know what's going on. Come on, focus. It's not coming. I don't know. I made a poll actually about data strategy on LinkedIn before today, before we went live here, where I asked, what comes first, the strategy or individual projects? It was very undecided. People were going the one route, the other were it's like 50-50.
Yeah.
How would you say what's the approach that you see a lot within companies?
I think the first thing that they're going to do is not to bring in data strategists. So, but that means that there is an implicit data strategy because you cannot have no strategy. Also, the lack of a strategy is a strategy in some kind of way. But to start using data to take business decisions, you need a level of maturity. I wouldn't say it depends on the size of a company or how old it is, but on how mature the people in the business are about using their data. You also have businesses with data really in the core of their activities, or data more in the processes that support the business. That's also a distinction you can make. And at first, when a company starts, you got to get things running. So you have to create revenue, you have to service your customers. So probably you don't have time to use your data to generate insights. You're just trying to keep afloat. And so probably then you're not yet thinking about data strategy, but in fact, you already are using your data because you need to do your accounting according to certain rules. So there you already are using data, maybe without a preconceived strategy.
Mm. So basically, the business needs first, and then when they have more time, that's where the strategy then comes in to add new value to the whole company.
Yeah, I would say in general that's true. Yeah.
Okay. You said you had a slide you wanted to show, like to set up this whole
Yeah.
data strategy thing.
Great. Yeah.
Uh, Let me see if, how I can bring this up here. By the way, if you have questions, everybody who's watching, put it in the chat. I already see a few people here. Eka is here. Jesus, good morning. Eric. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Yes, thanks, Andreas, for putting the slide on the screen. So people who have talked to me about this topic before have seen this visual, no doubt. For me, it all starts at the top with the pink guy in there. That's the customer, right? So everything starts from the customer. Customer has a certain question or problem he wants to have solved. He's very grateful for this, that you can help him solve it, and he's willing to pay for you to do this. So that's your value proposition. That's how you make money. Sometimes in non-profit organizations, this doesn't always have to be in money that they are rewarded, but can also be a service or a feeling even. But nonetheless, that's the value proposition. To deliver this product or service to your customer, you take certain steps, you take the inputs from the customer, you take certain steps and then deliver the output back. So you go through the process. The process does not contain data yet necessarily. You can have certain parts of the process in your mind, like I got to call this guy next week. If you don't put it in a system, I cannot do anything with it because it's in your mind, right? So that's why usually the signals that are sent out from this process are put down somewhere in a system, in an application, for example, a CRM system, a customer relationship management system. And then once the data is in there, you can try to use it to generate insights. So there are a couple of properties the data needs to have. It has to be captured. So if it stays in the mind of the salesperson, it's not captured. It has to be of a certain quality to generate insights of high quality. And it has to be accessible. So you have to be able to reach the data and pull it back out. Because why do you have to pull it back out? Because usually the databases behind the applications are not very well suited to run analytics or generate insights. That's why you want a data visualization dashboard, but to put the data in there, you usually need a step in between, data integration or data transformation, where you can also do data quality exercises, profiling, then put it in the dashboard. And then the most important step is the feedback loop back from the dashboard to the process. So you take the insights that are generated in the dashboard and you start tweaking the process, making changes, adding certain fields to collect extra data you are missing maybe. And that way you can become a learning organization who always continuously improves itself. So that's in short how I see data flowing through an organization. So where does a data engineer or a data guy start his work? It's on the line between the yellow and the green system. So there you have a look at what data exists in the yellow system, what data do I need in my dashboard, and how can I make a data pipeline between these two systems in the data warehouse or in the analytical systems. And that's then the job or that's our job, right, Andreas?
Okay, that's a nice way of showing this. Also, why you would use the data warehouse, why you use the analytical data store for this. Right? Sometimes people don't really understand when do you use a warehouse, when are you using something like a NoSQL database, because they don't understand the analytical processing and the transactional processing differences. I think that shows that really nicely, right?
Yeah, indeed. So that's how I try to explain it. Of course, this is a simplification, because you could ask yourself, but my application already has a dashboard. For instance, your accounting software or your CRM software, you already have a basic dashboard. And it could be that this is serving you well for the moment. But usually more insights can be generated once you start combining data from different applications to really create transversal insights over the silos and departments and applications in the different departments, so that you can start linking project data to sales data to financial data to customer data, and then really setting up a nice visualization dashboard to represent the things you really want to follow up.
How often, like this, as you explained it, this starts here with the value proposition, right?
Yeah.
How often do you see this, that companies don't start with the value proposition, but they start, like, for instance, here in the applications layer in the middle, in the yellow part, where they say, okay, let's start our strategy by first collecting everything that is there and then spend 2 years or something on this part. Like, do you see something like that
Yeah.
often, or?
Yes, I see this very often, and that's why I think there's a place for a data strategist that to always make the link back to the value proposition, to the businesses, to the business process, to the customer. The question I get asked the most recently is, can you build us a Power BI dashboard? Yeah, sure, I could, but what do you want in there? Because that's that in my eyes, that's a more important question for most businesses, is to really define what are my KPIs, not just starting from the data they have. You probably know the story of the searching where the light is, right? So you have this guy, he lost his keys during the night. He's looking for the keys under a street light, and then a cop passes by and he says, hey, what are you looking for? Oh, my keys. Yeah, and where have you lost them? Well, in the park. Yeah, so why are you looking here? Yeah, here's where the light is, right? So you have to avoid stepping into this pitfall to search where the light is. You have to look where the keys are, not where the light is. And then translate it into data strategy. This means you have to know where the business is going, and you have to know how you can follow up if you are actually going there. And that's where data strategy can play a very valuable role, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. So, what's usually the case then, that people, where they basically call you, do they have problems where they say, okay, we tried it ourselves, or is it just like they want to kickstart this? They have no idea how to do it, and then you can come in and help them on this.
My ideal client can be both. Can be someone who already tried it and it went wrong because they didn't put in place the right structure or the right mindset or right culture to really benefit from data projects, or someone who wants to start from right from the start. So who wants to put in place a strategy before they start building, which is actually a good idea, right? Because
yeah. That's the thing, because that ties a bit to the question that I was asking on LinkedIn, because, like, do people want to start from the beginning where they have nothing, or basically add more stuff to it? Yeah. Do we want to go and ask and answer 2 or 3 questions? Because
yeah, sure.
I think there was already a good one here. Could you give an example of how you feedback dashboard insights back into the process?
Yes. So once you have the dashboard, of course, you have to design the dashboard together with the business. It's not something you do on your own. You have to talk to the guys and the girls in the business to understand their needs, and then once you then deliver these insights in the dashboards, maybe they're happy. You hope they are happy, and then they can start using the dashboards to follow up the things that are important for their business, for their jobs. And then probably, if they do this, they will come back to you with questions. I'm missing this type of data, or I didn't realize designing the data that I have also another type of grouping I want to see in my data. That are the simple type of questions you can probably implement quickly. But then there are also more strategic questions about, we are implementing a new type of business. Really, we are adding, for instance, products where we are until now a services company. So then you have to start over a bit. Okay, what dynamics exist in this type of business, and then you go back to the drawing board, starting from the KPIs of this new type of business and going through the whole process. So I don't know if this answered the question, or is it still too vague?
Oh,
It's
I think that's
because
okay.
I would say trainings, very concretely trainings, explain the dashboards to the business users and to the people on the floor who are executing the processes, and let them also give feedback and integrate the feedback in a couple of iterations so that they notice they are getting taken seriously about their questions and the way they want to use the data. And then, just follow up with them. I used to work in a company where I sent some kind of monthly newsletter where I looked at the dashboards myself, and then I wrote a short mail. I see this month that many support calls in that area. Did you notice this as well? Just a bit communication around this, around the use of the data, so that can also help to drive adoption.
Interesting. I think the question was answered here. AK said tier 3 thumbs up, so I'm guessing it's fine for him as well. So when you get in there, like you put the image away, but so when you get in there, the value proposition.
I can put it back if you want to.
Yeah, that would be cool. So how are you going to start here? I'm guessing when people hire you, you come in and you say, okay, let's try to figure out the actual value proposition first, right? Before you go down here and work with what do we have. How are you doing that? Are you then going basically around and asking the leadership what could be in store, or how does that work?
That's a very good and difficult question, because usually there is a type of business strategy in place, you would hope. And then it's about integrating the data strategy with a business strategy and with an overall IT strategy. And of course, those are strategies that exist on different levels in the organization. So the business strategy is the overarching one, and then you have to fit in your data strategy somewhere. Usually, it's also very specific work to really uncover value proposition and product market fit and go look for these type of questions. That's not my specialty. I'm going to admit this from the start, but I am going to keep this in mind, because I know that it's very important for the data to always go back to these very important questions for the business. How am I making money? How are my customers doing? What do they want? So always keeping this in mind. And then depending a bit on the maturity and the size of the organization, I can also, with my experience in business intelligence and working with lots of companies on these topics, help them on this topic of value proposition. But if it's a larger company that is already matured, I would say go to a specialist who's really specialized in that type of work, because then it's probably out of my wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. You said that or what I understood in the beginning is you said like the data strategy has to follow the business strategy. Like could it also be that, or have you some experience where you say, okay, we're creating a data strategy and that actually opens up new stuff in the business strategy where then the leadership actually sees, okay, we can do some other stuff. And
sure. My first inclination is to say the data follows the business, because I'm coming from business intelligence, and that's, in my opinion, more the mindset we have over there. Like, let's help the business look at their data and make nice visualization dashboards. But of course, as you are pointing out correctly, data can also be used to develop new services and new products, and to really monetize the data, so make money by using the data itself. So sure, there are a lot of opportunities there as well. I am focused more on the BI side of things, but of course you can also use your data in other ways to generate value for the business, or to, for instance, to run strategic scenario exercises based on the real data in the systems, and then make predictions about what will happen if we if this product line makes that much revenue next year, what will it do to our variable costs, to our overhead costs, and then to our bottom line? And then you can go through different scenarios and also use data for this, of course. That's also still more in the BI sphere, I would say. Then, of course, if you're gonna really develop a product using data, that's also possible. Like maybe if you go to an engineering firm where they want to reduce the amount of material they use in certain components but still have the strength, then you can really let AI develop the component and also use data for this. But that's another type of use of data, in my opinion.
So would you say that the data strategy is then more relevant for this setup where, okay, we're having internal processes, we're feeding the data into a warehouse, we're building dashboards to basically optimize our company, optimize our processes, optimize our work, rather than let's build a strategy to make products that earn money?
I'm focused more on the first, but the second is also very valuable. It's only not my take on data strategy, because data is, of course, very large fields where you have different aspects, what you can do with data. Like I said, I'm more in the business intelligence and analytics approach of data and not so much in the data science approach. So yeah, that's also very valuable, of course, but a bit next to what I am doing.
Yeah. Well, the data, I mean, people love to have data science written everywhere and like, we're going to make a lot of money with it. But the simple stuff is often where a lot of hidden value lies, right? Where you're not.
That's my motto. Start with your small data first before you go into your big data.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There was a question here. I think that's also interesting. We have 99% of our current OLTP, so transactional data, lying in relational databases. What do you recommend us to build up a data warehouse or a data lake for analytics? Newbie in the field, but that doesn't matter for this question. So what way should you go? I mean, your slide already showed it a bit, but
start from the business question. Start small, take one use case from the business, go through the whole pipeline from the business question to the dashboard. Then you're vertically, then you have a vertical integration of all the aspects of a business question. So then you're asking yourself, what is the business trying to achieve? How are they achieving this? What kind of data are they generating in the process? How do I have to transform my data to then visualize it and deliver the insights back to the business? So start with one small business case, go through the whole process, but in your architecture, keep in mind that probably other business cases will follow, so that you can put them next to the existing one and maybe reuse parts of the pipeline you already built, and also start adding extra transactional applications and data as you evolve. That would be my question.
Yeah, that's also an interesting point here, that because you're using here a data warehouse or analytical data store, you have that upside of many use case or many internal customers can use this. You can share the resources. Therefore it's cheaper than setting up different systems, and as well as the dashboarding solution. Oops, that was the wrong. Yeah. What else did we have?
Maybe I can talk a bit about the way data can generate value for your company.
Sure.
We already got into it a bit, but I would say there in the kind of data analytics that we are talking about, there are in general 3 ways. So you have more revenue, less costs, and peace of mind. Doesn't that sound great, Andreas?
Yeah.
Everyone wants that, right? But it's
That's
not
true.
it's not so easy, of course, in practice. So more revenue could be by having more insights in what your customers want, how they behave, what products and services they like,
Mm.
and then taking this into account when you go to market with new product services, or when you design your customer touch points in the customer journey. Or you could, like you said earlier, you could use your data to really develop new products and monetize your data. That's also a way to generate more revenue using data. And then my screen was lagging a bit. Did you notice this? I hope I'm still on.
Yeah, we see.
Yeah, okay, no problem. And cutting costs can be done by creating efficiencies, by phasing out overlapping transactional systems, integrating them, or by also what use case I love is the process mining use case, where you go really into the logs of the transactional systems and you uncover the process like it is actually being performed.
Mm.
And that's not always the same as it is designed, right? So there you can discover inefficiencies, cut them out, cut costs that way. And then peace of mind, yeah, by having a good data strategy and data analytics, you can be sure of your data. You know that the figures you're looking at on your screen are correct, and that you can use them to take decisions, even if they're not really in line with your gut feeling always.
Hmm. That makes sense.
Another
So
aspect of peace of mind is also knowing you are compliant with regulations that can
that's
be
true.
relevant. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Um, Cutting cost efficiency. I think this is from my history in a large company. That is always a bit tricky because it's hard to measure, right? Creating new
Mhm.
business, making it more like, or creating new revenue with that. That's fairly easy to manage or easy to
Yeah.
measure.
Mhm.
Efficiency is always a bit difficult to, yeah, to
I
measure,
agree.
and therefore I have the feeling that a lot of people don't really like this, or these efforts die very quick.
No,
How
of
do you see
course.
it?
You're completely right. So if you're cutting costs by, for instance, eliminating the fruit in the company, but on the other hand, the motivation of your people go down, it's the 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 cost that you no longer have is easy to measure, but the motivation going down is a lot harder to measure, but will probably impact your business a lot more. So you have to be careful there. But I'm thinking more about obvious use cases like replacing two different reporting systems by one, just
Mm,
cutting the license cost. Yeah, can be easy as that as well.
that makes sense. But license costs, and also like that you don't have to, you don't have to operate both of the systems. You
Yeah,
don't have to train your employees on two systems, and so on.
yeah,
That's a big thing.
that's right.
Yeah. Let's go to another question. I had here's an interesting one. Uh, where was it? Here from Eka. Can you suggest any materials on data strategy? So far, I found only Bernard Marr. Do you have some good resources?
Good resources. Oh my God. I'm a philosopher, right? So I would say Aristoteles is great. I'm actually kind of serious. He talks about four types of causes, right? In the philosophy. So you have a final cause. What are you trying to accomplish with your data strategy? What, like, like take the example of a table. The table is not a goal in itself. The final cause of the table is to eat together. So also in your data strategy, the final cause is to have a better business, have a better customer experience. But then the formal cause in Aristotle's work is then the plan to get there, like the blueprints. It's the design of the table, and then you have the material cause. In the example of the table is the wood you use to build a table. In the example of the data strategy, it's the tools, that you're running the softwares, and then the efficient cost, that's then the guy building the table using the material costs and the formal costs to then actually combine those into the table. So that's then the data engineers building, using the tools to build the roadmap, and then to realize the final calls. So I know it's a bit maybe not so so concrete answer for the person who asked the question about data strategy. What am I reading about data strategy? I love Stacey Barr. It's an Australian lady. She has been writing about KPIs for years. So I really love her work. It's more really the KPI that's then very central in her work. It's actually not really tied back to data all the time. It's really because she started writing about this like 20 years ago when data was not yet such a hot topic. But I would certainly check Stacey Barr.
Okay. Stacey Barr. So here you have it. Okay. Cool. Should we take two or three more questions and then finish it up? Or do you want to add something else to the strategy part first?
Yeah, maybe about the fixed priced assets that I'm building around this. So
Sure.
When I talk with my prospects, because at that time they're not really clients yet, but when I talk with them, I always, in my mind, I already have a vague image of how their data platform probably looks and where their challenges might be. So then I draw, like you can see on the screen, it is blurred out, but
hold it in front of you, then we can see it. It's this.
You can see this?
No. No. Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah.
So I take a pencil and paper, and then I draw what I think their data, how the data flows through their organization with the different aspects that I showed you earlier on the slide. And then I deliver this just as a token of my appreciation for taking their time to talk to me, but also to then go to the next step where that's more like an alignment session with senior management. Okay, where are the challenges? Where do you want to start? Are we all aligned on the challenges? What are the priorities? And then I put the original drawing in a Miro collaboration platform to then go from there to flesh out a roadmap and then next step is to fill in with more technical building blocks, talking to the more technical people, and then choosing one or two to start developing towards their future goal. Cool. That's the only thing I wanted to add, Andreas.
Okay. It from the process, you mentioned Miro because I'm also a huge fan of these interactive boards and so on. So the whole process of interacting with, for you it's the client, for me it was now in the past few years the students. It changed a lot with these new tools, right? Where you can
it's
together.
It replaces the post-its, but you could probably do this live as well, but it was developed during the last 2 years, so that's why it's online. But you could do this offline as well, of course.
Yeah, but the upside is you have it. You can do it online. You have it basically forever. You can do screenshots and everything, and people can share this within the company. I think that's a very big upside from the working together part, instead of like doing post-its and then making photographs of them or then taking them off and not having them anymore, right?
And you have to put them somewhere else to keep them, and still have to put it in Miro actually. Maybe not Miro, but I'm a fan, so.
Yeah, cool. So where can let's answer two more questions and then we end here.
Yeah, okay.
Here, I think that involves data governance. If no, that's not.
Yeah. So, question about data governance.
Yeah. And data catalog with data dictionaries. So how does that fit? I guess how does that fit together?
Yes, right? I can talk to that a bit. Usually data governance is also not the first thing people start with, because they actually that ties back a little bit to the podcast I did about data lineage. In my opinion, data lineage is a part of data governance, to know how the data exactly flows through the organization. So which field in which transactional system is translated, transformed, combined, calculated in the transformations in the data warehouse, and in which measure in the front end it ends up. That's a bit data lineage. So you're drawing a lineage through all the systems, all the different tools, all the ETL streams, in all the different measures, in all your different dashboards. So for instance, when you have to replace a source system that's obsolete, or you want to replace that, you know what changes you have to make so that all the dashboards still keep working. So that's one aspect of data governance. In my experience, this is usually done once your data landscape is no longer under control. So actually, it's usually not done upfront. You have to have some kind of idea where you want to go, but usually the use cases the business starts with, they want value quickly. So sometimes corners get cut on documentation or even on design. And then you have to figure out, okay, how did we build it? And that's sometimes when things are already a bit out of control, then people realize that the importance of data governance. In an ideal world, you would do this up front. But that's in the practice, that's almost never the case in my experience.
Yeah, I guess that's because you wanna get value first. You want to get business value first from the whole data field, from the aspect of working with data and analyzing data. And then, as you said, then you have this construct with like, oh God, how did that happen? And then try to get it into the right.
Yeah, of course, in certain industries, you have to have this. If you're in banking, or if you have a lot of very sensitive personal data, medical data, then you have to know where your data is, and you need this. This is required by law, so then you don't have a choice. But in other industries, it's less hot topic. It's coming up, but usually a bit after the fact, in my opinion.
Okay, cool. Wouter, where can people find you? On LinkedIn, right?
Yes, I'm LinkedIn. I'm Wouter Trappers. There's only one. And then on the website of Xudo.be, that's xudo.be.
Cool.
And also the Medium publications you mentioned, but that's a little bit less focus for me.
Yeah, I saw. So I recommend your site because you also have a blog on there. And I've been going through, before our talk, I've been going through a few of the articles. I think it's really cool. There are very interesting articles in there. So, do you have it open?
Yeah, I can go there.
Yeah, here.
So I write about 3 different types of topics: data culture, data strategy, and data architecture. We have talked about data strategy today, but I can also write about data culture. That's more about even higher level innovation, context in which data project can succeed, which is the context of empowerment and accountability for the people on the floor. And then the data strategy we have talked about, it overlaps a bit with data architecture as well. So some blog posts are very practical. I also have a personal website on my personal name, woutertrappers.be, and there that's an older blog. I'm integrating the material on the Xudo websites as we go, but also there you can find more very concrete things like how to set up Lime Survey on a Ubuntu server or something like that. More technical topics. I'm not a technical guy, but I feel like I have to know enough to talk to the data architects and the data engineers.
Well, I would say the data lineage post, that was quite technical. So don't play it down. You have some good knowledge there.
Thanks.
Okay, so then let's finish up here.
Great.
Thanks for being here, Wouter. Thanks
my
everybody
pleasure.
from also being here, posting these very interesting questions. And yeah, see you soon. So
Yeah,
bye-bye.
nice to see you all, and talk soon. Thanks, Andreas.